if they don't make it to the finals, then this might be one of the biggest L's in NBA history.
Hot topics.
Embiid never had the mentality to win a championship. I don't think he ever will win a championship.
The best analysis.
But Jokic, he might be the best player in the league this season. He really might be the MVP.
This is the Full Court Report.
And we're back.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Episode number 28 of this Full Court Report 2024-2025 NBA season. And we have a new guest.
Yes, sir.
Spencer Woods. We've referenced him in the past. A little foreshadowing every time we talk about the Grizzlies, pretty much. And he's finally here.
Yeah.
I had to pop out for the one time.
Nah,
Welcome
won't
aboard.
be for the one time. Won't be for the one time.
Well,
I'm happy to keep showing up if you'll have me.
So, yeah. We'll get to hear some of Spencer's takes. He can finally defend all the hate that the Grizzlies get on this podcast.
The Memphis Grizzlies are the best team and franchise in the NBA. No question about it. You heard it here first.
I mean, I've been giving them respect. I can't speak for these two.
Yeah, no. Toby definitely gives them some respect when it's deserved.
Okay.
You'll never catch me giving them any respect, though.
I can't believe they lost to the Knicks last night.
Yeah.
That actually made me so mad.
Yeah, how about them Knicks?
Mitchell Robinson, I can't believe you came back to do that. You ruined my night.
Yeah.
That's how it goes in the NBA.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start here with a team that's kind of been streaking. And I don't know, we've kind of talked about them a little bit. Not too much. The Pistons up in Detroit. They've won 9 of their last 10 games, including a win against Boston and also the Clippers. So 2 pretty impressive wins. They also just won tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. Sorry, Toby. But they're 6th in the Eastern Conference, pretty firmly in 6th place. They're a pretty big gap, I think, between them and Miami in 7th. So I think they're pretty comfortable where they're at right now. And they're just 1 game back of the 4 seed. Right now, that's Milwaukee. Indiana, I think, has an identical record at the moment. So I don't know. The standings could change in quite a bit. But really, I think it's just really impressive what Detroit has done thus far this season. And I want to get your opinions. Spencer, we'll start with you because you're the new guest here. Who do you think deserves the most credit for the Pistons' turnaround this season?
I think that Cade is the franchise player. The team kind of lives and dies with him. So I think he deserves the lion's share of the credit. But I think Jalen Duren has kind of been an unsung hero of the Pistons during their winning streak. I think that guy's always going for basically a double-double or something close to it every night. And in the last game against the Nets, they won on the first. Cade was slacking a little bit. He shot like 4 for 9. And Jalen Duren went for 18 and 11 with 6 blocks and only missed 1 shot.
Yeah, Toby.
I mean,
I thought Nick Claxton was good on defense, Toby.
it is what it is. That guy's tough. I mean, I agree with you. I think Cade is that dude. I feel like I kind of feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves, with all the other young stars in the league. But I look back at when they were, I think it was last year, they were like 2-27, and Cade, he was like, we're not 2-27 bad. Like, there's no way we're that bad. But they were. And I think since then they've gotten new, general manager JB Bickerstaff is looking like coach of the year this year. And I feel like they're a lot deeper than people realize. Like, they picked up a lot of players. Malik Beasley has been having a bounce back season for them. And Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway. Like, they got a lot of, not like young pieces, but just veterans that, have been here for a while. So I think it's just kind of a combination of some of the younger players getting older, getting a little more experience, and then bringing in some of the vets and a new coach.
Justin, do you want to
Oh,
share your
yeah,
thoughts?
I was going to wait for you, Jorie, but I'll definitely
I
go.
didn't know.
Yeah, just like those two said, the obvious answer is Cade Cunningham. He's been doing this last couple years, but he's finally getting his flowers now that, his team's not 2-27. Like you had mentioned, Toby, JB Bickerstaff, he's doing a great job. He did a great job with Cleveland last year, and he really got this team right. Um, they only have four players on the roster who have been in the league for 5 years or more. So, it's a really young team. Um, Front office has been doing a great job with the draft picks. They drafted Cade, Ron Holland, Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, Isaiah Stewart. Like, that's a whole starting lineup that they've drafted, basically. And made some good trades for Malik Beasley, Paul Reed, got Toby, Tobias Harris back in there. And it's good to see. It's been over half a decade since they've made the playoffs. So, we got a nice little grit and grind Pistons team. Nothing like the bad boys, but good team. Nothing for the Knicks. Nothing the Knicks can't handle though once playoff time comes around.
Ooh, we'll see.
We'll get into that in a second, but I think, like you guys, I think you guys hit on all the points. Like, I think the credit is probably spread out throughout the whole organization. Cade, he's a first-time All-Star this season. Like you were saying, Spencer, Jalen Duren. I feel like he's really developed as a passer as well. I think like they're starting to use him. I don't know, kind of more out on the perimeter. I think as a way to space the floor, because as like a non-shooter, I think when you have a guy at the top of the key, you can kind of make decisions the way like Draymond does in Golden State. Nothing crazy, but he can hit some cutters, I think. So I feel like he's really developed in that sense, and that's helped their offense. And then Asar Thompson, who I think Amen Thompson in Houston is getting a lot of love this season, and rightfully so. I think he's been great. But Asar, I feel like he's really kind of molding into his own player as well. Really a good defender, similar to his brother. I think he's a huge catalyst for them, like on that side of the floor. But I think overall, you got to give credit to Trajan Langdon, who's their new president of basketball operations, mainly because of just how he brought this whole team together. Like you guys said, bringing in some older veteran, like win now players like Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway. Like with this young team, you get a new coach, you kind of, reshape the whole organization. And I think that's really why they've turned it around. So I don't know. I'm excited about this team, and you kind of touched on it a little bit there, Justin, about this team in the playoffs. Obviously, we'll see what a young team can achieve. That's always something to discuss. But Toby, I'm curious to get your thoughts. Do you think Detroit can win a playoff series this year? Like, do you think they have it in them, or do you think a more experienced team is going to come in there and just, I don't know, bounce them out in the first round?
As much as I would love to see it, I don't see it. I'm not seeing it this year. I think I think they can take a team like the Knicks pretty far. Not to pick on the Knicks, but I don't know. If the matchups are right, I feel like they could take the Pacers pretty far. But at the end of the day, I think those teams are just a little more experienced. Maybe just have a little more star power on them. But yeah, they're very physical team. I feel like they play really good defense. So I think they can, they're not going to go out in 4 games. They might take a team to a game 7, and who knows, they might end up winning it. But I don't like their odds. I'm not putting money on them.
Yeah, you just because you picked on the Knicks, I actually used them as an example because if, the famous move, if the season ended today, that would be the matchup is Pistons Knicks in the first round. And, if both teams are fully healthy, which, they are most likely not going to be, Jaden Ivey's not going to play, I don't think. I think he's out for the season. Mitch, he's made of glass, as Spencer always says, the guy's made of glass, so he'll probably miss a game or two. But I think the Knicks take that series in 5 games, bro. Pistons might get a game at home. I don't know. I think any of those top 4 teams, they're getting bounced in the first round.
Yeah, kind of to touch on the points that you guys already made. I think the Pistons are a pretty young team, and I think that the lack of playoff experience is kind of going to hurt them when they first play their first playoff series. And I think a team like the Knicks that's already been knocking on the door trying to make a finals run is going to be too much for them, at least at first. I think that they probably win a game. Like, I don't see them getting swept, but maybe a gentleman sweep, 5 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are right in the mindset to think of it as like New York. Like right now at the moment, their most likely opponents in the playoffs would be the Knicks, the Bucks, and Indiana. So I feel like that's probably what's one of those. It's probably going to be a playoff series between one of those three teams. Just looking at the standings, like Cleveland and Boston kind of have separated themselves to where I don't know if they're going to get that high, and then I think they've kind of built enough of a cushion with like Miami and the rest of the teams behind them. So I don't know. When you look at it like that, like you guys said, New York, Spencer already been knocking on the door. They've had some issues defensively trying to figure it out, I think, this season, but I feel like that high powered offense with, again, like a bunch of veteran players, probably going to be a tough out in the playoffs. Milwaukee, that kind of underachieved last year. They probably want to try and at least beat a team like Detroit in the first round. And then Indiana, we saw it last year getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I'm not sure if I see it right now, the Pistons, winning a playoff series. But I think, I don't know. I didn't see this team being this good this season.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've
definitely
kind of
consider-
already exceeded expectations. Go. Oh, sorry, Spencer, you wanted to say
Oh,
something?
no, you're good. I definitely would consider this season a success for them, especially with the season that they had last year. I think even being in the play-in would be a fantastic step forward from where they had been. And to be in the top 6 seeds and be guaranteed a playoff spot if the season were to end today, I think that would definitely be a step forward in the right direction.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
I don't
only
know.
up. It's only up, honestly, for them right now. Like, they had arguably top 5 worst NBA season last year, so they're, took a step forward. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just the work every day, put in the work, and you can't get worse. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting, but I just wanted to highlight this Detroit team. I feel like they've really have taken the league by storm in a way, and after losing, was it 28 games in a row last season, the NBA record, all of a sudden, just like that, they turned it around. So kudos to them. Yeah, it's been a great story, but on the opposite end of that, team that has had struggled beyond belief this season, and it has only gotten worse. The Philadelphia 76ers. They have lost 9 straight games. They are currently 18 games under 500, 12th in the Eastern Conference. To make matters even worse, I don't know. I kind of saw this coming, I think, but Joel Embiid will miss the remainder of the season due to issues with his left knee. So he's done. No more, former MVP Embiid for this team. And to me, I think that just solidifies them as a team that needs to focus on the future, start rebuilding. I feel like moving on from Embiid might be the solution. And I know that might sound crazy, but I just don't see how this team is going to get out of this without moving, one of Paul George or Joel Embiid. And I feel like Embiid probably is the one that they're going to end up getting rid of. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. I feel like that's really the biggest thing. And it's unfortunate that we can't foresee, this big three that I think had a lot of hype over the offseason. But I think the silver lining in all of this is that they have Tyrese Maxey, a young star, I think. So they have a foundational piece that they can build around in the future. And for their draft situation, and I think this is why they probably want to start losing games. Their first round pick is projected to go to the Thunder, of course, unless it lands in the top 6. So they kind of need to get down pretty, in the standings to keep that top pick. And that could really change the future of this whole franchise. Like if they can get a top 5 player from this year's draft, which is a pretty good draft, and on the other end, you might have to give it to OKC. So But I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, it's just tough to watch. But what do you guys think?
Toby, what do you have to say for yourself?
Um, I think it's I think it's time. I think it's time. I'm sorry to all the Sixers fans, but they need to blow it up. They need to get rid of everybody. Maybe try to keep Maxey and Jared McCain, and just trade Embiid while he's still valuable. Obviously, I don't think he's as valuable after this year than he was previously. But they at this point they just need to move on. The process is done, and I don't know. Like you said, Jory, there's a lot of good players in this upcoming draft. I don't know how their future draft picks look like beyond that, but I think it's time to reset. And even if you get rid of Embiid, maybe you get rid of Maxey too, and just start from scratch. But I don't know. That's what I think.
Nah, I don't know. You literally can't trade either one of them. You can't trade either one of them. Nobody is trading for Embiid, who's going to be unavailable for 50 games a year, who's on an insane contract. And Paul George, even when he is healthy, he's having basically the worst year of his career since basically his rookie season. So, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think anybody is trading for either of them,
Can I
especially with the deals that they're on. There's no way.
can I give you one team?
Sure.
And this is genuinely the only team in the league I think that would take a swing on Embiid. The Lakers.
Honestly,
I don't
dude,
know how
at
they
this
would do it.
point-
I don't know how they would do it. But I just feel like why not? If you have, maybe this is LeBron's last season next year. You just got Luka. Like, what do you have to lose? I don't know.
Push all the chips in the
You
middle.
already have mortgaged most of your future. And I just feel like if he can somehow be available, that's probably the best team in the league. Maybe, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that team would be insane.
I mean, if they
For
could
the 40 games Embiid plays, yeah, it would be the best.
Yeah, I definitely think the
Best-
best ability is availability, and it's tough to rely on Embiid with his knee injury right now. I think you should build around Tyrese Maxey. I feel like he's the franchise at this point. Think
Yeah.
they have a good piece in Jared McCain. Like he's ascending and he could be a good piece going forward too. I don't think Paul George's contract is tradable right now. I think he would have to have a healthier season next year with like better numbers to be able to get that guy to move. But I had heard rumblings that the Knicks almost traded for Joel Embiid prior to making the move for Cat. And I feel like the Sixers are going to regret not making that move when they had it on the table.
Facts.
Yeah.
God, we didn't make that move. But actually, just I saw on Instagram either earlier today or yesterday that the Sixers were thinking about medically retiring Embiid so that they could get his contract off the books.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Dude,
That's
I mean,
ridiculous.
if it's as bad as it could be, like I haven't heard anything about like how bad his knee might be, but if it's like to the point where he cannot play more than 40 games a season, like ever, you might just have to convince him somehow to be like, yeah, bro, you're out of here. Like, time to give it up.
I'm glad you brought that up because I saw that on Twitter earlier, X, I guess. It's like you said, it would be a medical retirement, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen something like that in the NBA, or at least not recently. But it says at that point, an independent doctor selected by the NBA would examine Embiid, and if that doctor and the Sixers both agreed that he cannot play, his contract would just be essentially wiped off the Sixers like payroll, which obviously would, make that make the future like building this franchise a lot
Yeah.
easier. But obviously that would be a crazy process, I'm sure, and probably I don't even know if that would go through.
You
But
have to like would Joel Embiid would he have to agree to that, or would it just be the two doctors are just like, yeah, no, you're done, bro.
I think, yeah, I'd have to look that up. But I don't know.
I mean,
It's
he probably
just a
wouldn't
wild.
agree. I wouldn't imagine he would have to agree to it because, yeah, he would
Yeah.
obviously say no. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
Like
He's going to
that's
keep
a
trying to play
crazy amount of
probably.
money.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think you're totally right, Justin, in that like in a perfect world, yes, they would trade Embiid, but that world may no longer exist just based on his play the past couple of years, I guess. I mean, he did win an MVP, obviously, but like when you're just not able to play, it's hard for
I
teams to take a
mean,
swing on him.
he's basically the reason we have the 65 game rule to win awards. He won his MVP season. He barely hit. I think he played like 68 games. Like, I think he was the reason that they implemented that rule because a lot of people, including me, didn't think he deserved it because he didn't even play 3/4 of the season.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Uh, it's crazy. I think a couple weeks ago, or I mean, maybe more than a couple weeks ago, but I think I said that the Sixers were more likely to make the playoffs than the
Yeah,
Lakers. I think
that
Yeah,
was at the
that's a
beginning
bold
of the
not
take
season.
now.
not the best. Well, that was also prior Luca trade, but I don't. I feel like either way, that was probably not smart. But anyway, um, yeah. So
Do you guys think that Joel Embiid would be the best player to ever get medically retired in that way? Because I'm looking at a list of like top players that had their careers cut short, and it says Chris Bosh, Brandon Roy, Yao Ming, Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning. You
Yeah.
can make an argument that if that were to happen, he'd be the like best player to
So
ever
they
be in
were
that
all like
situation.
medically retired.
Yeah,
Oh, dang.
like Chris Bosh, it was the
Yeah,
blood clots. Brandon Roy, it was the chronic knee issues. Yao Ming had chronic foot and ankle injuries. Larry Johnson had chronic back problems.
dang,
Alonzo Mourning had a kidney disease.
dang.
wow, yeah, that's interesting. That's
Yeah,
definitely
I think he would
interesting.
be.
I mean,
I
I
think he
think
would be.
yeah. I mean, in terms of like the peak he reached winning an
Mhm.
MVP, obviously, I think there's definitely the argument to be made.
I
But
mean,
Yeah,
technically,
well,
what about Magic Johnson? Didn't he like technically retire and then come back?
I don't know
that
if
I
he
don't
came
know.
back. I think he, yeah, I think
I
so,
think he
right? I
came
don't know if
back
he did he
very
retire though
briefly.
that first time, or was
I
that just
think
kind of
he
like
like technically retired and then he came back and for like 1 year in like '95.
That might have been on
Yeah,
his
it
own
says he came
accord, though.
back on January 30th, 96.
That might have been his decision to retire, though. That might be the difference there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
It's just crazy how close to like Embiid, like he's literally in his prime.
right.
So to him just retiring, it would like, yeah, I think he would take the cake.
But
It's really
hopefully he can
sad.
get healthy and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
I'm
Embiid
not
is good
hoping
for the
that
league.
he has a medical injury or medically forced retirement.
Yeah, it's we'll see. We'll see what happens in Philly, but I wanted to get to another topic, kind of about the whole league. A general, I don't know, thought. I think that's kind of been going around NBA circles. Are there too many threes like in the NBA? Are there too many threes in the NBA? I think the reason why we wanted to talk about this was Adam Silver had recently appeared on Colin Cowherd's show talking about, changing the 3-point line essentially and kind of just discussing this thought that there are too many threes. But Justin, I mean, you kind of were the reason why
yeah.
we wanted to talk about this. So I'll let you go first. But
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's an interesting topic. Me personally, I'm not necessarily like a hater of how many threes are being taken, just because I feel like, gameplay wise, as they're playing the game, there's plenty of things that even, doesn't even have to be the league changing it. It could just be the coaches and, teams changing it. But for rules that kind of the league would have to implement, my main thing, this is just purely my idea. I haven't seen this anywhere. I haven't heard anybody else talk about it. But I think if you took away screens, like pick and roll screens outside of the arc, that could change a lot because if you didn't have somebody coming to set a screen for you, like at the bottom of the logo, you come around the screen with a head start, like a running start, and you could just either, stop and yank like Steph, or you have the wide open lane. Like that kind of makes things like, I don't know, closer to the basket if you take away screens from outside the arc. It would just be kind of like a moving screen. It would be an illegal screen that the refs could call if it was, outside the arc. That's just my idea. That's just one thing. But I've heard a lot of other people say, no goaltending after the ball hits the rim, like kind of FIBA rules. Like if the ball's hanging on the rim, you could just swat it off. That could just, make things interesting, change it up kind of. Um, Make offensive and defensive 3-second violations to 5-second violations. I feel like that could, you know, not insinuate, kind of give the incentive of passing the ball down low. If you have more time to just kind of camp in the paint a little bit, it kind of, I guess slows down the game, kind of makes it more of a half court game instead of just run gun, out on a fast break. Um, and this whole argument about too many threes, like if all of the players are out on the arc trying to get a catch and shoot three, wouldn't that be leaving the paint open for easy drives and people cutting? Like, I don't know. I just feel like everybody's complaining about the too many shots, but there's so many things that coaches can change, like defensive schemes and stuff like that, to force people off of the arc, especially if they don't have the ball. Like, you don't want to let a backdoor cut happen, but you also, I'd rather let a layup happen 2 points versus a corner three, which is 3 points. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, those are just a couple of my ideas and things I've heard other people talk about. It's a hard thing to do. I feel like it's not just the league though. Like it's not just things that Adam Silver has to change. The teams and players kind of have to, if I don't know what the players think specifically, but if they have a feeling that there's too many threes, there's things that you can change in the locker room to, keep people from shooting too many threes. And the Knicks are one of the worst offenders because I'm pretty sure we have the worst 3-point defense in the league. So, if you're playing the Knicks, just start launching them. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk about this just because I feel like some of these ideas could really actually help, how the game is played.
Yeah, I think that was an interesting point you brought up about no screens outside of the 3-point arc. I definitely never heard that before. I think it would definitely force players into like more isolation scoring, like shot attempts. I think that could be cool. I was thinking that, and I know it's been said before, but just extending the 3-point arc as players get more skilled and are improving their skill set coming into the league. I feel like almost every player now, regardless of the position they play, is almost required to be able to shoot threes. So I think moving the line back would probably lower a lot of NBA players' 3-point percentage and will force more middies to be taken.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the only issue I have with moving the line back is that I think I don't know. It's probably not going to be much further back, and I just feel like all that really would do is kind of space out the floor even more because I think still a lot of teams would play where they have a bunch of shooters on the floor, and it would just almost make it more challenging for defenses to guard more space, basically. Like I just feel like that's why I don't know if moving the 3-point line is necessarily the best option. I honestly just feel like the notion that there's something wrong with the league because teams are taking too many threes is just like stupid. Like I really just don't understand why people complain about it. To me, I don't know if it's necessarily players nowadays are more skilled than like previous eras. I think they just have more of an opportunity to showcase their skill sets because of the more spaced out floor with all these 3-point shooters, right? Like you said, Justin, like it opens up cutting and driving lanes on the perimeter. And now we get to see like Kyrie Irving do some crazy dribble move and, hit a crazy shot in the paint. I just don't know if like previous eras necessarily had the opportunity to even do that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're just running back and forth to the 3-point lines like robots, like I feel like there is an element of creativity with each team, like the Denver Nuggets do not play the same way as the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks don't play the same way as the Memphis Grizzlies. Like It's just the result, I guess, might be the same. We see a higher number of threes with every team, but the way they're getting their shots is just not the same. And I feel like people are just running to one thing and complaining about it, but I really don't see much of an issue, to be honest. I feel like it's still very competitive.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jory. I don't really have a problem with the amount of threes. And I took a look based like the average NBA 3-point percentage, and it's pretty much stayed consistent since like the 90s, like the mid 90s. So I don't feel like it's just players are just chucking up threes out of nowhere and like taking all these trash shots. I feel like there's bigger issues as far as uh like if we're talking about the product and viewership and stuff like that. I think there's too many fouls, and I might be a little bit old school with the way I look at it, but I feel like the players get penalized a lot for good defense, and I don't know. I just all the stopping in the game, I don't feel like makes for a great product. I don't. The only thing I can really think of is like Spence said, pushing back the 3-point line if they want to reduce the amount of threes that are taken. But with the point that Jory made, I don't think that would be maybe not the greatest idea. But me and Spence just said the other day that the midi isn't dead. Like that's still a good efficient shot, and we see a lot of it in today's NBA. So I think there's a good mix of 3-pointers, middies, driving layups and dunks and stuff like that. I don't really have an issue with that. Like I said, I think the bigger issue is, for me, is foul calls, players looking for foul calls and things like that.
Yeah, no, I'm actually glad you brought that point up, Toby, because I don't know if I necessarily agree with allowing hand checking because they would just kind of bring, too many people would be sweeping into their shots and trying to get that foul with, the guy hand checking. But I just more physicality in general. Like I feel like there's been I watch it too many times where somebody's just driving to the hoop, the big man contests the shot at the rim, and then, we hear a whistle just because the guy falls on the ground after the layup, just because somebody's on the ground doesn't mean it's a foul, like little tiny bump in midair, the guy sells it. Like you can't just give it to him because he's on the ground. But I think a good rule that would, keep it from slowing down so much is you can only challenge calls in the fourth quarter. Because if we're being honest, there's no reason to be challenging a call in the second quarter of a game, regardless of what the score is, because one possession isn't going to change anything 20 minutes from now. So I feel like only allowing challenges in the fourth quarter would be,
What if that one possession is the difference in the game, though?
The domino effect.
no,
Yeah.
no.
You got to
You say
understand
it
the
all the time,
momentums.
Jory. You say it all the time that one possession doesn't matter unless it's at the end of the game.
I
Like,
definitely
possession in the
don't say
first
it.
quarter is
Don't,
not
I don't know
changing.
about that.
No.
You're putting
You
words
say
in
it
feel
my
all
mouth.
like
the time. You say it, especially
if
when
a
we're watching
team-
football, Jory, that one possession.
Football's a whole different sport.
No. Either way, doesn't matter. I like we all kind of agree that the 3-pointers aren't too big of a problem, basically, as well.
But like back to what you were saying about the like replays, I feel like if a team asks for like a challenge and they win it, they deserve another challenge like automatically. And if they keep getting them right and the refs keep like calling bad calls and they challenge them correctly, they should just keep getting more to like put pressure on the refs to like officiate the game in a fair way.
That is kind of a good point.
That
Because
would,
right now, like
Yeah.
you can challenge a call in the second quarter, like you said, and just not have any more challenges for like the whole rest of the game. And then you get to the fourth quarter and you need one, and it's like, well, I was right about that other call, but I'm being penalized for like asking for you to fix it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. I don't know. I mean, I think I don't know. I think the product's fine. I really have no problem watching any NBA game. Like, I'll turn on
Yeah.
the Hornets and Wizards. Like I'll still watch. I think it's fine. Yeah. It's we'll see. We'll see what changes Adam Silver makes in the offseason, if any. But yeah. Well, I think we hit on everything we wanted to touch on, right? I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts. before we sign off.
No, thanks for coming out, Woods.
Yeah, thanks for
coming
having me
out.
on the
It was
pod,
a good
Sir.
time.
This was a lot of fun.
Back. Yes, sir. You get another perspective, diversify the fan base of the pod. Yeah. So thanks for joining
And
us.
just like that, the Spurs
we
beat
go.
the Grizzlies right as
Oh
we're
my
signing
gosh.
off.
You know, it's funny. I was gonna pick like a picture of Ja dunking on Wimby or something, and then I checked that Grizzlies score, and I was like, "Yeah, nope, not tonight."
Jaren put up 42 though.
Jaren's a hooper. That man is insane at basketball.
Yeah. No, he's really been.
He's really not getting the
this
credit he
season.
deserves from.
He's having a career
major
year, I would
media.
say.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about Memphis down the line as the playoffs approach. And
Yeah, as they keep making it further and further in the playoffs, we'll have to
Yeah.
talk about them.
Yeah, we'll see.
But until then, yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll be seeing you.